So, now that Ranked is out, and now that people have gotten some time with Scarlet Violet, time to do what I do best. Give you kiddies knowledge and information on how to be competitive. As a guy who used to do this stuff and only this stuff. With that said, let's say we get competitive, shall we?
Is there more to us than the words we say? The games we play? Can we know that we're not dreaming?
Now then, firstly, I'm going to tell you this generation has made it quite harder, but also quite easy to get into competitive. I know, it's strange, but trust me when I say everything comes together in a nice, weirdly shaped bow that makes you question, why are you opening a Christmas present when it's actually Halloween? There are multiple locations in Scarlet Violet where you can pick up battle items for VGC or Ranked, however one wishes to call it. Now, these two locations are called Delibird Presents and Chansey Supplies, and these are located in the cities of Mesogoza, Cascarafa, and Leventia. I hope I didn't butcher those names. Chansey Supplies focuses mostly on vitamins and mints, but they also sell the ability capsules. You'll go for them if you're going for, your focusing on natures, your vitamins, and the ability capsule. What else is there to say? Yeah, there's nothing else to say. That's what Chansey Supply does. Now, in addition to Chansey Supplies, it's Delibird Presents, however. That's where you'll be spending most of your visiting time. And this is where you're going to be getting stuff. Well, I'm just going to show you right now. You could get stuff for the Rotom phone if you want, or Pokeballs if you're that interested. But once again, we're going to be focusing on the battle items. These are, well, pretty much what I said. These are just your battle items. These are your these are your soft sand. This is where you get your mystic water, your charcoals. Items like your red card, the adrenaline orb, room service, etc., etc. So many different battle items. This is where you're going to be getting them. They also, at one of them, I think it's Mesogoza, that sells the Destiny Knot. Perfect for breeding if you're actually going for competitive Pokemon. I totally recommend it, by the way. It is much easier to breed competitive Pokemon than it is to just randomly catch a wild Pokemon and use it for competitive. Which is, sad to say, something I do quite a lot. Let me just say. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. Now, in the general goods, you can purchase items like the bottle caps, elemental evo stones, the evolution items, and other such assortments. But most importantly, for this particular video, we're going to be focusing on the EV trading items, the power items as they are called. Now, let's just pretend you want to get into competitive. You just catch a random wild Pokemon, you say to yourself, you sir, you, I'm going to pick you. As I take a while to actually pick a Pokemon, yes, you, Shiny Lechonk. You are going to be my ticket into the Master Ball. Now what do we do? Well, with the use of the power items, which each explain what they do, in exchange for reducing the wearer's speed stat, they will increase the stat drastically of what they are picking. With each Pokemon you defeat, be it HP, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, or speed. The best part about Scarlet Violet is that ever since they forced us to have the EXP share on all the time without being able to turn it off, during the main story at least, this has made it drastically easier to EV trade multiple Pokemon at the same time. Goodness, you kids have it easy. Back in my day, I never turned on the EXP share, so I basically had to trade all of my Pokemon one at a time. Oh my goodness, it took so long. But now that we know what the power items do, where do we trade? Where do we go? What do we do? And to that I say, slow down. Slow down, let me explain some things first. First, if you're not catching Pokemon in a raid, kudos to you for wanting to make life hard on yourself. I prefer doing some 5-star raids to get at minimum 4 perfect IVs. I won't explain why that is because there are a ton of other guides out there that explain it better than what I could do. This video, however, is just focusing on EVs and where we're going to be trading for those EVs. Now, if you are not rich, and I mean this, if you are not rich and you don't have a lot of money stockpiled, and you are not doing any raids, and I mean literally, if you are not doing either of those things, you're going to be pulling a lot of money out of pocket, because EV trading quickly is expensive, alright? It is very expensive, just for a single Pokemon. If it has, let me just pull up an example here, alright? Let me just pull up an example, alright. This is what I'm talking about. This is a Pokemon here, 0 perfect IVs compared to this. Best means it's perfect. As you can see here, this Toxicroak, as much as it's shiny, it has 0 perfect IVs. Just to turn this Pokemon competitively viable, just to put the difference between the two, I'm going to show you Peter real quick. This is a perfectly trained Pokemon. And as you can see, he's hyper trained. This Toxicroak is not. If you are not doing any raids and you're doing this, it is going to be super expensive just to train a single Pokemon. Let me just show you the math right now. So, if we are going to EV trade this Pokemon, we are going to need, let's just say we're going to give it the sweeper stats of 252 in one stat, 252 in the second, and 4 in the third. You can at most only have 252 stats in a single stat, or 252 EVs in a single stat. So if we're going to do this, we need 26 vitamins, 26 proteins, for example. That's 260 grand right there. And remember, this is for one stat. If we're going to do 2, it is going to cost you a whopping, oh my goodness, I can't even show you this with what I've got. It will cost you about 520 grand just for that one, just one Pokemon, on top of the extra 10,000 because again, we need that extra 4 EVs in that third stat. And then on top of those 53 vitamins, again, each one at 10 grand a bottle, we are gonna also need a mint to change this Pokemon's nature because it might have a bad nature. And each mint is gonna cost you 20 grand a pop if you're gonna change mints. And heaven forbid you wanna rechange those stats again. We're not gonna even count that. And let's not forget the battle items. I'm gonna show you the battle items as well. Once I accidentally walked out. Oh my goodness, the camera messed up. Part of the lag again. Now, again, we're talking about battle items as well. If we're going with battle items, it can range anywhere from 3,000 to 30,000, depending on the item. Oh, and one more thing. Did I also forget to mention that some trainers, they like to max out the stat, or not max out the stat, but they like to max out a Pokemon's move pool as well. So let's just pretend that Torch Song down there, it's gonna cost me about 30,000, I believe. Yeah, 30,000 for some PP ups if I don't have any stockpile. Fortunately I do, but that's another 30,000 on the bill. Alright, no, not 30,000 though, sorry, it's 16,000 because it's 10 grand, so you need 4. Oh my goodness, like I said, this stuff this is super expensive. Now, you might want to save yourself some money, so let's just get those battle items. Let's just, like I said, get those power items. Now, where can we trade? Let's ignore the bill. Let's just focus on the power items only and pretend your Pokemon is a sweeper, meaning it's going to be moving incredibly fast and hitting as hard as possible, focusing on all of its EVs into speed and attack. And keep in mind, no matter how much you train, you're only going to be able to max 2 stats for one Pokemon. Now, the first place I'm going to recommend going, if you're focusing on multiple sweepers again, is going to be the Great Crater of Paldea, or Area 0. Now, down here, depending on which version you have, you will encounter multiple species of Pokemon. One of those being the Dreepy Pokemon. In fact, here they are, right here. You will encounter Dreepy and Dracloaks. These Pokemon are great sources of speed EV. You can take them down pretty easily depending on your Pokemon, and they each give good EV stats. And if for whatever reason, say you're going for multiple speed EV Pokemon, you can give them like the physical or the special attack increasing power item, so that you can only focus on, raising their speed stats silently. Once their attack or special attack stat has been maxed out, you can take off those items and then quickly raise up their speed EVs. However, you will be running around very often because Dreepy and Dracloaks do not pop up very often down here. You'll be running around very often trying to find some, but this is still a great place if you're looking for some Dreepies and Dracloaks to train on. And here's another batch just to show you off real quick. Also, you can find Dreepies and Dracloaks at the second location which I will be talking about, which is, I believe it is called Cassiopeia Lake. In fact, we'll be going there pretty soon. But another place you can train real quickly, if you are going to be focusing on special attackers for whatever reason, you can kill these Glimmora. Glimmoras spawn crazy down here. They spawn so much, and each one will give you 2 special attack EVs. So again, you could do the same thing with the speed EV Pokemon if you're training pure special attackers as well as another stat at the side. You could give them something to increase, say, their HP, their defense, special defense or so, and while you're raising their special attacks silently, you're quickly raising up the other stat. So by the time you finish with that stat, you can go to your special attack and just rapidly clean up, because they'll be doing this very fast. Now, let's move on to the next one. Let's go to HP. Let's talk about HP. Where can we train again? So here we are at Cassiopeia Lake. Now, where can we train on HP while we're down here? Well, I can recommend Slowpokes. Believe it or not, Slowpokes, as well as the Dongonzos, I hope I pronounced that right, they give great HP stats. So you can take these guys down. I mean, come on, surface. You can surface, sir. Just to show you. You can take on these guys, the Dondos. I keep pronouncing that wrong. Dondozo, as well as Slowpoke. You can see Slowpoke in the back there. And one of these two is always going to be spawning out here on the lake. I think at night Slowpoke spawn more frequently than Dondozos, but during the day and at night you can easily find these two Pokemon and quickly raise your HP stat. They also give some great EXP, so yeah, this is a great place to train as well. Now, let's move on to physical attack stats. Now that we've talked about HP, speed, and HP, speed, and special attack, let's move on to physical attacks. Alright, moving on to the attack stats. The Veluza of the lake that spawn frequently enough that they give you such a headache. They give you an amazing attack stat boost. They will just run at you. Let me just be serious. They will run at you if you pass them by. So you can just park yourself somewhere where there's a lot of them, and sooner or later, they'll run at you, and you can just keep knocking them down. Also, you can also target the Gyarados that also spawn in the lake from time to time. In fact, they almost spawn just as frequently, if not more, than Veluza. And they give the same amount of EXP and the attack stats to raise. So this is, again, a great place where you can just chill, raise your Pokemon up, etc., etc. But just be warned, if you choose to fight the Gyarados, they all have Intimidate. So make sure you're not using a physical attacker, or you can one-shot them no matter what. Just giving you the heads up, alright? Don't blame me. Now, when it comes to the special defense stat, however, you are kinda... I have to say that I have some difficulty with this, because their most reliable Pokemon that I have been able to find are Swablu and Altaria, and I've mostly only been able to find them again around the lake, but they're very infrequent. The second best option that I could recommend here are Goomies and, well, just the Goomy line. They offer pretty good defensive stats, or special defensive stats, and I've seen them spawn pretty frequently around the lake, so this is, again, one of your best options. Another option I can recommend are Bronzong, but they mostly spawn on top of the ice mountain over here, which I believe, if I remember correctly, is called the Glaciado Mountain. Oh my goodness, I cannot talk this morning. Now, one last location I can recommend to you is Drowsy, and I believe they spawn somewhere right over here, just north of this Pokemon Center stop over here. They spawn in this little nook area that I've been able to find, and they also give special defense EVs if you're looking to train special defense, but it's very infrequent how often they spawn, so you're basically on your own when it comes to that spot. Now, for the defense stat, I'm happy to say one Pokemon I could definitely recommend are Avalugs and Birdblades. And they spawn very frequently again. They spawn on the lake, but they also spawn in just this little niche area just north of the Team Star base. As you can see right here, the Fairy Team Star base. They spawn pretty frequently enough that you can reliably find bird bites without too much trouble at, again, both the lake and this area up here. And again, you can also find some Bronzogs on this mountain. It's just going to take you some looking if you're, again, still looking for those special defense EVs. But for the physical defense EVs, Bergmite is definitely 100% your best option. Now, let's go back to the lake one more time, because this is what I love about this lake. The fact that you can find the feathers, the EV training feathers, very frequently and very often. They are just spawn everywhere on this lake. You can go through multiple passes of the lake if you are looking to specifically build for specific EVs. You can easily go through the lake and just constantly find these little feathers all over the place. They will constantly respawn, and this is what I love about this area. You could spend $10,000, 10,000 Pokédollars on buying a single vitamin, or you could just spend a few minutes, like just a few minutes at a time, going through the lake and picking up all these random feathers. Like, look at this. I am just randomly going through, picking a random direction, and I'm just seeing feather after feather after feather. I just swim for a little bit and I see another feather. Look at that. I just found another feather. In fact, let me show you my feather collection, just to show you just how frequently these feathers are spawning for me. Like, I don't use these feathers, but look at this. Look at how many feathers I've managed to collect compared to all the vitamins I find randomly throughout the world. I found 10 times more feathers than I have found zinc bottles, practically. So again, this is a perfect place for you to EV train your Pokemon. and just casually pick up these feathers to help you build specific EV builds for future Pokemon while you're doing these general builds. Again, perfect spot. Now, once your Pokemon are fully EV trained, the only thing left to do is bottle cap your Pokemon. And thankfully, you don't need to be level 100 to do this. 50 is good enough. So, you can head on over to Montenevera and talk to this man with the Abomasnow and train them up. Now, you will need bottle caps, but you can buy them at Delibird present stores around the region. Oh yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this, but bottle caps are about 20,000 a pop. So, you know, if you're going to typically train EV train your or IV train your Pokemon, 5 bottle caps, that's about like 100 grand on top of the bill. Now, I really hope that the training spots I gave you and the tips I gave you hopefully help you out when it comes to training your own Pokemon, and hopefully I saved you some money for whatever else you were going to spend it on. You know, instead of spending it on vitamins, which, once again, to remind you, 530,000 for all the vitamins for a singular Pokemon. Not on top of the other expenses to make that Pokemon competitively viable. And just to once again show you, it takes a team of 6 to make a competitive team. So, what is the math? Let me just go back. What was the math again? Let's just say it was 650,000, just gives or take, times 6. It's gonna cost you almost 4 million to make a single Pokemon team if you do it from scratch. Do the raids, people. Do the raids. You will get bottle caps for free, and you will get ability capsules for free. You might also get ability patches for free. Again, bottle caps are 20,000. Ability capsules are 100 grand. And these EV training spots, hopefully they will slim down the wallet spending you'll be making on your Pokemon so you can focus on the battle items and other things. I'll see you all next time. Hopefully this helped you out. Please like the video if it did help you. Share it around, help other people as well. I'll see you all next time. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
When you've reached the point where you can't go on, just come to me, you'll be safe from harm. If you trust in me, then I'll trust in you. There's nothing more that I need to do. If you put your hands in front of mine, we'll be shining through one at a time. Just understand you